class, we're going to go over really quick working problem 15.3. And so we are going to put PowerPoint over here. I lost it. Give me 1 second. Okay. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about calculating depreciation of our office equipment. And so we're going to be journalizing the calculations that we determine. So we're going to be going over some of these examples over the material that you've read. And so we'll be using some straight line depreciation and with cumulative depreciation in doing a few examples and showing. And finally, what we'll do is the working problems, we're going to record our adjusted entry for accumulating depreciation. So let's go ahead and get started. And so there we go. Hopefully this helps zoom down a little better. And so here, first part on Senge's MindTap accounting, we look at calculate depreciation expense for the color printer costing $950. The printer has an estimated salvage value of $150 and a useful life of 5 years. So we're giving those key terms. We know that one of the costs is $950. The salvage value, or salvage value referring to the trash value, that value of it has it's no longer usable of any way. The minimum amount that we expect to hope to receive from when we get rid of it is 150, and then the useful life, which we figured we'll use for 5 years. So we figured this item lasts us 5 years, so we'll be able to depreciate or reduce and expense the usage of this item for 5 years. So we need to calculate that. So how's that done? So first off, we have to put in what the original cost is. So here we're going to put in the original cost. So that's $950. Okay. From the estimated salvage value. So when we get rid of this item and we sell it, we expect to sell it for a minimum of $150. So when we sell the printer, we want to get $150 back for it. And that's what we expect for a printer of when we're not going to use it more in 5 years, it's going to have a value of $150. And so we'll sell that. So we have to subtract that, so at least it's 800. Then we're going to divide it by 5 years, because that's how long we expect this printer to last us. And so 800 divided by 5 is $160 a year. Okay, and so we assume that we're going to expense $160 each year over the 5-year time period that we're stating. So we'll go ahead. Just looks like my math is correct. $950 original cost. Estimated salvage value is 150. Subtract that's 8. Divide by the 5. And when we did that, give us 160. So we go ahead and grade, and we can move on to the next step. Okay. So here, calculate the book value of the color printer at the end of the second year. So we have to determine what the value is of the item that we're going to have on our books after the second year. So we know each year we're going to reduce it by $160. Because we're given an annual depreciation value of 160. Because we're going to get 150, or hopefully 150 when we sell it. That's what we're projecting. So we know over the 2 years, we're going to lose 160 each year. And so we're going to put 160 into each of the depreciation year 1 and then depreciation year 2. And so that when we subtract that, that's 320 minus the 950 in total. So we should end up with 630. So 630 is our book value of our printer that we just purchased that we're expecting in 2 years. Okay, and as long as I did my math correct, which looks like we did, we can move forward. Okay, and so now we're going to do our cumulative depreciation entry. And so here is our chart of accounts, and here we have on December 31st, Southside Electric determined its total depreciation expense. Total depreciation expense is $22,150 for office equipment and $7,440 for store equipment. Journalize the adjusted entries for the accumulated depreciation. So we know we're going to be doing those two. So here we have to first, it's the end of the month, so 31st, and we're going to be doing the depreciation expense right there. Tells us what we're typing in. So we'll go ahead and get that put in. Oh, I already did that. It's okay. And we're doing that for office supplies. If I'm right. Oh, no. What was it? Office equipment. I don't know why I'm thinking supplies, office equipment. Oh, E. And that one was for the 2150. Okay. And then now we're going to have our accumulated depreciation for office equipment for the exact same amount. Okay. So now we're expensing that off. Okay. You know, we accumulated over the time, you know, that 2150, and now we're going to expense it. Oh, and so now we got to do our store equipment. And so we do the exact same thing. We just make sure we spell them correctly. And that one was the 7440. So we're taking out, you know, we have to remove our assets into expense. And so this is why we're crediting out the asset. We're crediting the asset out. And then we're putting it or debiting into our expense account so we can increase that out. So when we, you know, get ready to remove them. And so that is the final steps that we have. It was office equipment, 2150, 7440 with store equipment. Looks like we got everything correct. And how we can tell also if we come and we pull our PowerPoint slide over and we look real quick. Right here on journal entry, we have our here accumulated depreciation right here. And we gotta credit that for that. Okay. And we're going to depreciate the expense for office equipment. It's right there. And accumulated depreciation for store equipment and depreciation expense for store equipment. So they're both ready to go. So we have the exact same thing, and so we just grade. And we're all good. And that's the working papers for 15.3 on adjusted entries for accumulated depreciation. So go ahead and work on your own, and so you'll be ready to work on the applications 15.3 by yourself. Any questions? Send me an email, send me a message so I can uh, help you understand what's going on.